Welcome to the special edition of 15 Minutes. Tonight's topic is instructional assessment. I'm David McElhone.
And I'm Angela Fennell, along with Jessica Sid and Kelsey Finlayson. We will be investigating assessment from the perspectives of corporate trainers and college instructors.
Whether it's in corporate training centers, on-campus classrooms, or online universities, quality assessment is an essential element of good instruction.
Tonight, we will compare how college instructors and corporate trainers look at assessment in their distinct instructional roles. We will explore the differences and similarities of how they view the purpose of assessment and its implementation, development, and analysis.
Where do you work?
Currently, I work at University of Phoenix. I'm an instructor and I'm the area chair of adult education and training. And I do have a consulting business where I do quite a bit of instructional design for the Department of Ed or other universities.
How long have you been in your field totally, did you say?
I've been in education for more than 30 years. The last 10 I've been in adult education.
What degrees do you hold and where did you get them?
I have a bachelor's degree from University of Nevada, Las Vegas in elementary education with minors in art and French, and I have a master's degree from UNLV also, and that is in education, and I specialized in special education.
What is your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is probably the creativity it allows. I am an artist, so I love the idea of creating new things, and then I get to work with fabulous students that like to interview me.
I know what you mean.
So Justin, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you work, how long you've been in your field, a little bit of biographical information.
I work for University of Phoenix in the Classroom Operations Department, which is a part of Academic Affairs. I am what's called a Continuous Improvement Specialist, which essentially is a trainer.
And how long have you been in your current field and training?
I have been a formal trainer for close to 1 year now.
So how did you get to where you are now? What degrees do you hold and where are they from?
Well, I have a degree in Hotel and Restaurant Management from Northern Arizona University, and that was my bachelor's. And I also have my master's in Adult Education and Training from University of Phoenix. I am a Phoenix.
And what is your favorite part of being a trainer?
I would say the interaction, having the opportunity to interact with a group, discuss whatever the material is or the content is that I'm presenting on, and just having that opportunity to share knowledge and answer questions.
Hi, I'm Derek Finlayson. I currently work at Mark Center of Mesa, and I am a program manager as well as a trainer in benefits. I have been working there for almost 2 years now. I'm currently working on my master's in business administration, and I also have my bachelor's degree in psychology.
So are you wondering how long you've been in the field for, what degrees you hold?
Well, I have a PhD in operations management from the University of Michigan. I have a master's in industrial and operations engineering from the University of Michigan. I have a master's in business administration from Brigham Young University in Provo, and I have a bachelor's in finance from Brigham Young University in Provo. And so I've been professionally active for, I would say, about 28 years now, and about half of that time has been spent in academics, and about half of that time has been spent in industry.
For Phyllis, an essential element of assessment is collecting data.
What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the term assessment?
When I hear assessment, I immediately think of data, collecting data that I can use later on. So that's what I really think of, just gathering everything up and either using it immediately or storing it for later on.
However, Justin believes it is twofold, assessing learner knowledge and assessing trainer performance.
What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the term assessment?
Not just assessing the learners and their knowledge, but assessing how, as a trainer, how I'm performing my job. Because if we assess and don't get positive results, it's a reflection on myself and the other trainers, not necessarily just a reflection on the learners themselves.
Phyllis believes that the purpose of assessment is to meet students' needs.
What is the primary purpose of assessment in your current teaching position?
For me, it has several purposes, but I'd have to go back to collecting data that would drive my instruction. So that idea that to meet everyone's needs, I need to collect the data and analyze it.
According to Justin, its purpose is to ensure knowledge received in training is understood.
What is the primary purpose of assessment in your current training position?
Again, just to understand the amount of knowledge that was absorbed by our learners. For example, we have assessments on different aspects of functionalities that are performed within the department, so we need to assess the knowledge to make sure that they understand the steps that need to be taken.
Phyllis is concerned about bias in assessment and believes that assessment should be aligned with content.
What ethical issues do you consider when implementing your assessments? For example, mismatches, individual differences, consistency, bias, fairness, etc.
I'd say bias is one of the top ones, to make sure that it's fair to everyone, or I don't have a bias, or it's not skewed to any particular group. So I'd have to say bias, of course fairness, and also I look for the idea that is it truly aligned with what I'm emphasizing in the content. So I actually really focus on the alignment because I think that's a fairness issue.
However, Justin believes that the format of the question should give everyone the opportunity to answer it correctly.
What ethical issues do you consider when implementing your assessments? Some examples of this might be mismatches, individual differences, consistency, bias.
The biggest thing is making sure that you're asking questions that everybody has the opportunity to get correct. It's got to be something that everyone can clearly understand, and everyone can understand the approach that we're looking for, or the answer that we're looking for, that routes them in the proper direction. Because if part of the people are going to understand it and the other half are not, then it's not a fair question from them.
Phyllis sees feedback and comments from a student-centered perspective, providing them consistently and frequently.
What monitoring and feedback concerns do you consider when implementing assessments? For example, timeliness and comments.
When I think of assessment, I always think of consistency and frequency. So you want to give them often enough so that if someone doesn't do well, they can recoup. And also you want to be consistent in the way you implement them, with the percentage of the whole that they represent. So those are probably the two that I actually look for.
Justin interpreted this question to be feedback from the learner to improve both training and assessment.
What monitoring and feedback concerns do you consider when implementing assessments? Examples just being like timeliness of the feedback, and then the kinds of comments that you're giving.
Well, just the comments from the learners. Really, the assessment is for the learners and for us to understand where the learners stand. So in order to have the best the best assessment, the best results, we need to work with the feedback that's given to us to make sure that we're presenting the knowledge properly, and when we ask those questions, that we're asking it effectively and in an understandable way.
Derek uses multiple resources to ensure it's relevant to the learners.
How do you analyze the assessment results after they're implemented?
Well, if you pass out questionnaires, you take that, you utilize it, you have comments, questions, and you filter out things that could be improved on. Things such as was the information provided relevant. So once you get that feedback back, you can not only have yourself go over it, look and see how you can improve, and see how receptive your audience was to your training material. And the next time you have that, you can implement that to your assessment, to your training and your class, to develop it and make it a better training.
Clayton believes in assessing the strengths and weaknesses and finding the origin to improve his teaching.
How do you analyze the assessment results after you've implemented assessment in your classroom?
Yeah, I have a lot of freedom in what I do in my classes. Usually I look at the assessments that are done, and I try to see if it's indicating strengths and weaknesses.
Derek develops his program to fine-tune it and check the learner's temperature to adapt his instruction.
Now, are there any major changes that have been implemented because of assessment results that you've found?
It's always changing. You're always trying to add material, minus material, what worked, what didn't work, and getting it to a fine kind of what works for everybody on a whole approach for every group. You can also get the temperature of the room. If they're not liking what you're presenting, you can always switch it up as you go.
Clayton implements changes based off of what he finds to be the root cause.
Are you making major changes to your task?
Then try to figure out, well, what's the root cause for the good performance and the root cause for the bad performance, and then I take remedial action on things that are not working so well, and then I try to enhance things that are doing better.
Derek believes in using internal and external collaboration to improve his instruction.
Now, do you collaborate with other people in developing your assessment?
Definitely. It's important that you have your opinion. You can write your questions, but also I have my supervisor go over questions as well as they implement their own questions. There's questions out there on the internet or assessments that have already been created that are really helpful in getting insight on the type of training or programs that you have.
Clayton believes in limited collaboration for developing assessment.
Do you collaborate with others, when you're developing your assessment?
Well, most of the assessments that we have are either imposed upon us by the administration, or we're using some type of national instrument. So, there is some level of collaboration.
Derek tweaks his assessment for consistency with the program and for better instruction.
Once you have developed your assessment, do you ever change it or tweak it?
Definitely. You do want it to be consistent with all the other programs. Some things you can develop, change, and tweak it to get better feedback.
Clayton uses his assessment to constantly improve his teaching.
Students taking national exams and things like that, I think those are useful. If you can see where, they did really well in this area and not so good in that area, so maybe we need to beef up the part of the course that covers this other subject matter in order to give them a stronger background. So I'm always using it to try to improve my teaching.
Anything you'd like to say to my cohort?
Hope you guys are doing great. I miss you.
Well, thank you very much, Phyllis, and thanks for spending the time with us today.
Thank you, David. It was a pleasure.